Our guest instructor today is MaryAnn Wilson. She is from Next Home Triangle Properties in Raleigh, North Carolina. She's got tons of credentials, but among them, she's an academy coach for Next Home. And she's also going to be a speaker at the upcoming conference where they'll be talking about how to get a offer accepted. Is that correct?
Yeah, how to write the perfect offer. So it's all about getting
Awesome.
it accepted. So that's the bottom
Yes.
line.
So that's definitely something that we all need to know better about because it's tough out there, and you can you don't have to be the most money to win. And I'm sure
You
you're going to
don't.
teach us all about that. But today's topic is systems. MaryAnn is passionate about systems, and I know I am too, and I know Pat is very anti-system herself.
I'm all over. I'm a freewheeler.
So
You're the free-spirited.
But I could learn something.
yeah.
Yes.
So welcome, MaryAnn.
Taking notes.
Go ahead.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for inviting me here today. I'm excited to see all of you. Love seeing our Next Home family. And I'm really passionate about systems. And the reason is you want to have a consistent experience for your clients. Without a system, it's easy to drop the ball on something, have one client say they received this from you and another not receive it. So we need to really think about how are we consistent in our business. It also allows you to be more scalable in your business. So if you think about it this way, if you're slow and you're new, you might not remember to do everything. So you need a system at the beginning so you don't forget anything. Then as your business builds and you start to get busy and you have, usually they come in clumps, all of a sudden you have 3 closings in the same week and you haven't had one in 2-3 months, you might forget something because you're so busy, or you did it for 2 and not the third. So there's a lot of reasons to have systems. The other thing, if you're like Pat, who is an anti-system person that's more free-spirited, having the system can enable you to share it with somebody else. And they can work the system for you. So, for example, with my systems, I have very detailed checklists for every type of transaction. I have one for resale, new construction, listings, land. I have it for rentals, anything that we do. I want a system for it so we don't forget anything. I want to make sure that I surprise and delight my clients throughout the entire process. So I want you to think about your systems. How are you using those? How do you surprise and delight them throughout your service? So we want to build a business based on referral. Chuck and I were talking about that a little bit as we were waiting for everybody to, come on to the call. And that's a really important thing in my business, and it should be in yours. And so you can have a system for that. What's your follow-up? How many times do you call them a year? Every bit of your business can be systematized. I don't know if you've read any books by Michael Gerber, but he wrote the E-Myth. Now he's has the E-Myth revisited and has one specifically for real estate agents. And his whole thing, I read it. It was actually my first business book I read, and that was a few decades ago, we'll say. And it really impacted me because it was something I believed in. It kind of reinforced it for me about how do we do this so your business can grow? So imagine if, we're all different points in our careers, but if you have 10 transactions a year, you're pretty busy. If you have 20, 30, I mean, I'm hosting a breakout session at conference with Kimberly Taylor, who does over 200 transactions a year. I can tell you, she better have some systems in place because she needs to be able to do the same thing over and over and not drop the ball for anyone. So my company, we've used the Asana and some other tools like that, Trello. We've actually gone through a few to manage our transactions. We now use Broker Mint. It's something I use at my brokerage for commissions anyway, and we really like their checklist there. So we've created custom ones. And so I wanted to mention Michael Gerber. He says, systems run the business and people run the systems. So just think about that for a minute. The systems run the business. And you know what? Who wants to go on vacation? I go on vacation. I love to travel. That's what I want to do in my free time. So when I went to Asia, my husband and I went for 2.5 weeks a year ago, December, and I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything is there. It shows up on my TC's checklist for the day. She knows exactly what to do. And then if she's out of town, I have to log in and look at the list and make sure I'm on top of things because now I'm used to her doing it. And that way I know what's been done. So that's me managing my business and making sure that it's really doable for me. I think that's a really important thing to do. Who uses systems now? What do you do? What do each of you do?
We use Basecamp to manage our
Okay.
stuff because it's very customizable. It's a pain in the butt to set up in the beginning because it's not really designed for realtors or really anybody else for that matter, but it's
Mhm.
totally customizable, which is what we like. And what did
That's
you
all.
like?
Yeah. And you're muted.
Unmute yourself. It's down in the lower
Yeah.
left-hand corner.
There
Sorry,
we
I
go.
thought I already had. I'm also a broker mint girl. So I've been using broker mint for many, many, many years. And so I have everything on checklist for myself as well as my agents. And
I know
then
you were a beta tester on Broker Mint, right? You told me
yes,
that.
I was. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so I use Brokerment for that. And then I also have a transaction coordinator that logs into my Brokerment, does everything there. And then I just have a lot of checklists. So when someone that closes out, I just have a checklist of everything we have to do for that person. When it goes to listing, what's our checklist for that? So I'm a checklist girl. I also use Monday, which is and I have like different buckets. So it's like my personal stuff that I do in my house. I have it for business. I have it for, the brokerage. So I have multiple checklists ongoing every single day. So if I don't, I get it, my brain, if I don't put it in buckets, my brain gets scrambled.
Well, there's something called decision fatigue.
Right.
You've all heard of
Exactly.
that. And if you're making these same decisions over and over again, you're really spending your energy on something that could be
Mhm.
systematized, right? So it sounds like you all have a lot of different checklists like me. And I think that really frees our mind up to be more present for our conversations, to feel like we have control over our day. If you can get in and I always say I'm a believer in proactive mornings, reactive afternoons. So first thing, you log into whatever system you use to do your checklist and get those things done. They're the critical things for your business. Then you're freed up. You've done the critical stuff for the day, and then it opens up the day for other appointments, a little time off. Maybe it's a massage for you, whatever you want to do, but get a little control of your day. Um, Eat the frog. Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. So get that stuff done. I find, in business, if you have some hard decisions to make, I just want to mention this, it's really good to do that when you have the most energy. And so you need to figure out how you work, but mornings work well for me. If I have a hard decision to make, a hard email to craft, what have you, I like to get that done in the morning. So that's another way to have a system, is how do you work on your timelines for each day? How do you work on scheduling your activities? Think about when you're the best for that type of activity and which ones are most critical. I think it's really important to think about your day that way. I know Anne mentioned also Monday, and so there are some tools like Asana, Monday, Trello that can help you. And there's a free version of many of them, so you can just use that and not spend any money. For Ann and I, we own the brokerages, so we're paying commissions and stuff, so it's nice to have our checklists in there. There is one limit. I find that if you want to do anything outside of a transaction or agent onboarding, you need another system to do it. So it is good to kind of start with something else. Our lists are very detailed. After someone goes under contract, we have over 70 items we do at that point. And I'll share those with you. I figured today I'll just kind of walk you through what our buyer checklists look like, what we're doing, and the detailed level that we put in there and the consistent service. It's been so nice. I've built my business based on referral, and I think it's because they have a consistent experience throughout the process, I try and surprise and delight my client. I find if a client asks me a question during the transaction, I take a step back and say, okay, I don't want them to ask any questions. I want to be so ahead of it that I'm sharing the information right before they ask me. And they'll be like, oh, I was just starting to think about it, and it comes. So we want to just think about that. How can we do that? The other thing is do you get calls when you're out and about doing other things and it's not really a convenient time for you? So this allows you in your day to have them, get the information at your time frame. I think that's a really important skill to think about and manage your time. I think it's really hard in our business to manage our time. We get a lot of demands and it's unexpected. You're sitting here thinking, okay, I'm going to get this done this afternoon, and someone wants to go see a house. So what do? You jump and all of a sudden the other stuff doesn't get done. So just think about your day and taking control of your day. Richard Branson says, don't be embarrassed by your failures, learn from them and start again. I think that's a really good lesson. We all make mistakes. We all have learning opportunities. So don't dwell on any mistakes you make in a transaction. Just learn from it. How can I be better next time? And you know what? Own it. If you screwed up on something, own it. Say, you know what? I could have done a better job here. And I just want to let you know I've changed something internally to make sure it doesn't happen again. And my apologies. And allow yourself to move on, but acknowledge it, grow from it, and let them know. The thing is about systems is if you have effective business systems, allows you to leverage ordinary people to produce extraordinary results. So it is hard to pass on your client and the interactions to a transaction coordinator. But by doing so and doing it with a system, they are going to do it at the level in which you want them to do it. So my transaction coordinator, she's worked with me probably 9 years now. So a long time. She knows how I work. She has my login for my email. She can do whatever I need her to do. But what she has is now carefully crafted emails. We save all that text. She knows when she logs in, here's exactly what I'm sending to this person. Here's exactly what I'm sending at this stage in the game. And so we've covered everything from wire fraud to, inspections for new construction and why we might recommend a pre-drywall inspection and not just a general home inspection. People don't even know about those. They don't even think you need an inspection, right? For new construction at all, let alone a pre-drywall inspection of what might they find. And I've worked on the new construction side and I've seen it where, you've had your electrical systems run, you've had the framing done right, and then a plumber comes through and cuts through some of the joists or something. You just never know. So trying to explain the real life examples, taking time to do this is really important. And so I want you to think about that, who you could sit down with and maybe hash it out together. Go through and just think about it. It's really a nice thing to do with another person if you feel a little stuck in this process. And at the end, I'm going to share with you my buyer checklist. So you all will have that and you can use that as a base for yours for the resale contracts. So tell me about what you do in your transaction what do you do that's kind of unusual? You think this stands out? Because I want you to think about what's unique about your service. What do you all do?
One thing that Pat and I do is we use BombBomb extensively. So we've set up an automation of videos that leads someone through all the steps of the transaction, and we've got them scheduled so they go out prior to whenever that step's going to happen. And like you said, we try to make it so that our clients never have to ask us a question. And that's something that not only saves a lot of time, but it helps our clients to feel comfortable with the process because they know what's coming next.
Right. I love that. I love that. I have one of the agents at my office says with her videos, she herself keeps those a little more brief and says, okay, for those of you who need the short message, it's in the video. For those of you who love the detail, it's in writing. I thought that was a really good approach because we have our engineer types who want all the details and the other ones who are a little free spirited. Just give me an idea. What do I need to do? Okay, I'm done. So trying to appeal to everybody with your systems, think about that. And I know Pat and Chuck, they send out the biz box. I've been doing that for probably 5 years now. People love it. I got a thank you email today. It's a repeat client. And they're like, thank you. We're packing up now and just want to let you know how much we appreciate the new materials coming in. So think about how you can add that in your service. You can also think about things such as unexpected items. So I've had 2 clients who've had babies this year. I've been sending Spoonful of Comfort for about 5 years now. And so that's my system. When they have a baby, I wait till about a month later when the family's gone and the help is gone, and then boom, they get the soup. And so it's a nice surprise for them to get that. So somebody just got one last week. So think about how you can serve your clients and keep that as a system. We talked about decision fatigue, right? And so I don't have to think about it again. I email Shauna, send them a soup, and I always do tomato basil because if someone's vegetarian, they still eat it. You know, all these different issues. So I keep it simple. We know exactly what to order every time, unless I personally know they love something in particular. That's what we do. Let's see. Spending the upfront time to do your system is really important because it'll save you time. I believe we're going to see a very busy spring and summer market. The amount of calls I'm getting now, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a crazy year. I already feel it. My first listing of the year, we had 19 offers already. We have not, I'm the only one in the office that has received that many offers. Everything I've offered on this year has usually had 2 to 5 offers. If it's priced right and done the weekend, it goes on the market. And so we're already feeling that buyer pent up demand in our area. So we need to be prepared. So on the listing side, one of the things I do is I have a spreadsheet I use, and that's for the multiple offers. I need to make sure I'm comparing them and helping my client compare them for every little thing. Or did they fill out blocks? I will tell you, writing a good offer, make sure you fill out all the little bits of information, because in my system, I highlight who didn't do it. Like I found in my system that this last time, the highest offer, the offer letter terms from the lender versus the details in the written offer didn't match up how much they were putting down. So because I was putting it there and I was cross-referencing, I could see easily that there was a gap there. So just think about that, how you're serving your client better by catching that right from the beginning. And it really allows them to appreciate that. When you highlight that, they know you've got your back. It's another way to show why you're there and the trusted resource. So you can have a buyer system, seller system, referral system. Have you thought about an agent referral system? What do you do when an agent refers you to somebody? Do you send them something? Do you write a hand note? I always do a November challenge for all the next homies in the Facebook group. So if you ever want to sign up for that, I have a system for that as well. And so the agent referral system is a great way to build your business. If any of you are going to conference, what's your follow-up plan? I would put it in now. Get it set up. Set up in KV Core what you're going to do. You can assign a task, a hashtag. I know for conferences in the past, I've had a little note card I brought, and they could scan it. And if they scanned it, they would go straight to a Google form, put in their information, and then it would automatically send them emails afterwards, and it would assign the right hashtags. The one thing I will say with KV Core is it does not assign them as an agent. That is one thing it just doesn't categorize them as an agent. So we now put on our checklist or task on KV Core to reassign them as an agent. So my admin does that. When she sees something come in and it has the right hashtag, like Next Home Conference 2024, then she would have a task there to say, assign them to as an agent instead of a buyer, because that's a default. I don't know why, that's just a system glitch, but I wanted you to know about that. Looks like Roseanne, you're seeing multiple offers already. I see that on there. It's just looking at the chat to see, how about your client appreciation system? So we were talking about working with your sphere. I don't know if you all host client events, but what's your plan? I will tell you, never worry about how many people show up to the client event. You might think, what? But the reality is, all they care about is that you reached out. They just want to know you care. Whether they make it or not doesn't matter. You're staying top of mind. You're thinking of them. It shows you're considerate, all of that. Make those calls. And if it's been a little while, Jim Fischetti says, I've been thinking about you and I thought I would reach out today because I didn't want to just keep thinking about you. I wanted to actually connect with you. He has a little bit different version, but think about that. If you have a call where you haven't talked with someone, do that. Just reach out to them, but think about your follow-up system. Do you have a social media system? What's that? What's your plan for that? So everybody, there's a lot of different systems we can have in our business that you might not recognize, but I can tell you if you're poised for growth or need a little control of your business, this is the key to it. So with your client events though, who's organizing it? When are you sending out invites? Are you doing BombBomb videos to them beforehand to invite them? Are you sending a postcard? Are you doing a paperless post? What's your plan afterwards? Who's handling the food? All of that stuff, we have a system. It gets controlled. When are we sending it out? And we put on the calendar. This is when I need to do this. This is when I need to do that. It's all scheduled then. It's time blocked, because if it's not on your calendar, it's probably not going to happen. I put everything on my calendar. It's like if somebody's calling me on the phone and I'm driving and I can't put on my calendar, I'm like, text me, please, so I don't forget to put on my calendar, because it needs to be there. So make sure, and your clients will respect that too. The things we ask of our clients sometimes are really, really reasonable, but they make a big difference for us. And I'll say, okay, I don't want to forget this. Put that in an email to me and I'll take care of when I get back. I'm on the road right now. They totally get it. So don't worry about that. They want to help. What's your system for getting referrals? Are you asking for them? Do you send a note after you have a referral? Do you reward the behavior of the referral? What do you do when it closes? What's your system there? Refer someone to me and you'll see what our system is. I'm just saying, I sent out referral check today. You never know, you might get a little surprise from us, that we like to surprise our people. We really appreciate that. Other things to think about. So I was looking at my list: Asana, Trello, Brokerment, KV Core, and Basecamp, Monday, and Todoist. That's the one we hadn't mentioned. I just wanted to look at my notes here. Has anyone used Todoist? Yes, it's just another way to track it. One thing we found is when we were exploring different options for tools to manage your systems was, what happens when you put in a date? Like we're very date driven in our business. So you have a closing date. Can you back it up from there? Or how do you need to change your systems? It's just something to think about as you compare systems. That's where Brokerment for us worked the best. That's why we switched over to that. The other things were really good, but you could schedule them like 2 weeks out when you put your schedule versus 2 weeks before closing, if you understand. So sometimes they're based on calendar date versus 2-week increments, as an example. I just wanted to mention that so you all are on top of it. So, when we think about our special activities, one of the things I do, and it's pretty common in real estate, but I'll tell you, the public doesn't know about those pie parties. It is my most attended event every year. It feels like, it just makes me feel like it's the kickoff to the holidays now. I do it every year, the Monday before Thanksgiving. I've got it down. I know who I order the pies from. I know what many of my clients order the same one. I have like generations of family coming now. So had that multiple times where the parents and the children who bought for me are coming to the pie event, or one's picking up for the other. So that's a system, is one of my client events. You could say in January, maybe you have a planning period and make that a system. What are you deciding? You're deciding your events. What are you going to do for your special events? I thought it'd be good to talk about, someone used Evernote, which is a great program. I've used that, and that's a nice note-taking option too. I like that about Evernote. How about on your Zoom calls? You can now enable AI to take notes during your Zoom calls, like Fathom. They can give you the notes at the end of your call. You could do that as part of your buyer consultation. I don't know if you all are doing, you have a good system for consistency in your buyer consultation. Some people use PowerPoint, some people go through the contract. But that's one of my most important things. I get buyer consultation, buyer agency agreement signed 100% of the time. I let them go out one time and that's it. And you know why? Because you have to figure out what's in it for them. What is in it for them? Well, if you want me to take time on my Saturday or Sunday to go show you houses, I need to know if I'm your agent. If you're calling people on Zillow, then maybe I'm not your agent. And I don't really want to spend my time with those people, to be honest with you. I have worked Zillow leads and it's hard. I did it at the beginning and I made some great contacts, honestly. So it can be very rewarding, but you need to say, this is what I tell them. Okay, we will go out once, but after that, the reality is I need to make sure you understand how to buy a house in North Carolina. It's really unique here. We need to go through that. So that way, when you do see a house you love, I don't want to be dealing with the buyer agency documents. I want to focus on your offer. Let's take an hour, hour and a half, and go through the whole process. So then you're ready. The minute you fall in love with a house, we can quickly write an offer. That's a script like that. That's what I say every time, and it works. You have to say something that's authentic to you. I just want you to start thinking about ways you can systematize your business. You know, it's from your documentation that you need to do. And maybe if you don't love documentation, you have somebody that assists you. So Shauna, we all know Shauna now. She prepares them all for me. I'm like, I don't want to do the paperwork. I'm busy. So I'll just say, prepare buyer paperwork for this person. And I'll give her the date that I'm doing their consultation. She has it ready for me. Listing agreements, she has it ready. She knows exactly what I want in there because we've communicated it. So think about that. How can you do that? How can you be consistent? I have made the mistake in the past, we all learn, of not doing the buyer consultation with somebody I know. And then they don't really have the information throughout the process. I'm like, never again. So what I do with my friends is say, hey, I got to put on my realtor hat right now. So just a minute, I know we're friends, but I've got to make sure you make right decisions. This is too important. So we're going to switch over and I'm going to talk just about to you as a realtor. You hear about people who have friends who don't go with them because they're afraid to go with their friend. Well, what you want to do is have your friend feel like they definitely want you on their side, not the other side. So you show your value right up from the beginning. So think about that. How are you doing that? How many people here use buyer consultations? So most people do. Okay, good. Is anyone struggling with that and doesn't have a system for that? Okay. So can I take you off mute, Diane, and just talk about what's hard?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, I mean, this is something that we're working on very diligently now in New Jersey because actually our state is trying to get legislation passed that buyer agency contracts are mandatory. So we're all going to have to be signing them at some point, probably later this year. So, but up until now, the problem is nobody was using buyer agency agreements at all in our state, maybe 1% of people. I mean, literally no one. So it just, not in the habit of using them. And now we have to backpedal and try to, get our asses in gear, so to speak. But I mean, listen, I'm an ABR. I know how to do a buyer agency consultation. It's not that I don't know how to do it. It's just setting the people down. And I think all through this whole big last 4 years with COVID, like people were scrambling to get a house. And it's almost like, I saw this house, I got to go see it right now. It's like, who has time to sit with somebody for an hour and a half and talk to them? It was like, all right, jump in the car, run and, do it. But now I think it's time that we have to take a step back, and I'm working on implementing the whole, buyer agency agreements. We have 4 to pick from our state. They're trying to update them. I know that everybody could use whatever they want, but, it's something I just gotta really like sit down and focus on.
Yeah, yeah, well, and it's a change for you all. We've been using buyer agency for so long that it's natural to me.
Right.
It's just something that must be done to me. And when you start framing it that way to yourself, so what I tell folks is, here's how it works in North Carolina. We all work on behalf of the seller, unless you've told me verbally or in writing that you want me to be your buyer's agent. It must be in writing prior to us writing a contract. So we want to get that prepared. But the thing we're taught in real estate school is, if I'm working on behalf of the seller, then I actually have to provide you comps that justify as high a price as possible and not the realistic offer price.
So can I ask you a question? So in North Carolina, you're working for the seller even if it's not your listing?
Oh, yeah. All of us work
Wow.
for the
Yeah,
seller
that's not
here,
here in New
unless you told
Jersey.
us verbally or in writing that you want us to work on your behalf.
Okay,
So
yeah, so
so
we
I
don't
get
do
down
that.
to what's in it for them. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I want that. I said, every time you go into new construction, their job, just remember, is to get the maximum price. So
Sure.
I'm starting to educate them that you need to be careful what you're sharing at an open house. At an open house, whoever's hosting it is supposed to share with the seller anything that could impact your offer. You've got to be careful. So these are some of the things that we cover in our consultation, is strategies like this. All of a sudden, they're seeing what's in it for them
Right.
and why they need it. Yes, sub-agent. There you go, Ann. So same thing there.
We don't do sub-agents here. We don't have sub-agency.
Yeah, in North Carolina, the thing is, we have something called a due diligence period, and it's a non-refundable fee that you put in with your offer, and you pay it if it's accepted. And I'll tell you, a lot of times it's $20,000 or more.
Wow.
And it's a credit to them at closing, but it gives the buyer the freedom to walk. But it hurts them in negotiating, so they better understand when they're looking at a house that they may be putting some serious money on the table from the beginning. And so we need to make sure they understand everything about buying and what that means. They confuse it, and we have to make sure they understand it. So whatever it is in your state, if they're coming from another state, they might be coming from a state like mine, and it's a completely different process. So we need to make sure that they understand that. And the reality is, people don't buy houses very often. So I tell them during the consultation, we're going to talk about the market, what's happening. And I show them the details. I showed them my spreadsheet on offers, saying, look at this. One person put $500 due diligence down. That's what they were offering. Nobody's going to consider that. If you look here, most are 10,000, 20. The highest was 40,000 on this townhouse. It was a $425,000 townhouse. And somebody was willing to put in $40,000. And then I have to explain, well, you know what, it's not going to help you for your negotiating and repair. So we better look over that house. Here's some of the things to look at. And we kind of I go through the offer to purchase contract with them section by section, so they know what's in it before they go in the door. So just to help you, kind of some ideas and conversation topics and tips maybe you can take away from that. Let's see, Corey says, I'm working with a buyer. I always get a buyer rep agreement, protects them and my brokerage. Everyone's on the same page. Yes, definitely agree with that. And you cover some things like, I'm going to conference. I will have somebody, if I'm traveling, I have a backup. Don't you worry about it. Cover the strategies of what you want them to do at the open house and new construction. I tell them, just put in my information. You don't want these people bugging you. And you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I don't want them bugging me. So say those kinds of things to help them realize it. So giving them tips and strategies. I mean, when they finish the buyer consultation, I have loaded them with so much information. I'm showing them a highway that's being built around the area. Talk about that. All these things that they feel like, oh my gosh, I need an agent. You've just shown your worth. So think about that. Other things, what types of systems do you all have? Is there certain types of systems you have questions about that we can all collaborate on? And then I'll walk you through mine too. Yes, Roseanne?
Hey guys, how are you?
Hi.
right now I have a client coordinator that, just like you, we have templates and checklists and all that. So what do you recommend the best system that you've used? And this is for everyone that's using it. I have template letters as soon as any situation happens. We obtain a buyer, we have template letters, but you know what next steps are. We keep on top of that every few days, but remind them of different things. So I don't have it in a specific system. Jeannie, my client coordinator, is my system. She's got it down pat. We use our calendars just like you. We do handwritten notes, the whole thing. But is there a system that you recommend that would capture all that easily as opposed to us doing it the way we're doing it now? Or do you do a combination of all of it?
Yeah, so for anything under contract or agreements signed, then that is all 100% in Brokerment. And having used Asana and Trello and some of those others, we found that that is the single best tool we've used
Okay.
for transaction details.
Okay.
And I can even, let me see if I can pull up something. I'm going to just open up and show you all what Brokerment looks like. Now I am the owner of the brokerage, so I pay for it, but it's something that you can, I think, buy as an agent as well. I don't know the cost. I know as a broker, it's something I pay per seat, per user in my brokerage. I'll pull up. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and just give you an idea of what that looks like. Okay. So this is Brokerment, and this is, I'm in a transaction. I have clients closing the day I leave for conference. And so in here, I've got some basics on the purchase price, commissions, we're making a donation, what attorney we're using. And then on our checklist, we applied the resale checklist. So these are all the things we've done and we assign it. So if you're using a transaction coordinator, Shauna Westaway versus MaryAnn Wilson, what have we done? So she adjusts the due dates on the contract if they, you know, when it comes in, and that helps her align Brokerment to our schedules for sending out emails, etc. Arrange delivery of the due diligence check, earnest money, send them an initially under contract email. So if you look at that, here it is. We have a whole email. She just cuts and pastes. Congratulations on going under contract. The offer to purchase is attached, signed by all parties. And this one is, she sent it to the attorney. We asked them to fill out a form as they go under contract to get some information. So we have that list right there, that link, I should say. We asked them if they want to get a survey. That's one of the hardest things to get scheduled in time by the end of our inspection period. Like we got one back this morning and our due diligence period ends today. So we try and get on that, explaining about inspections, how much we estimate they may cost. We also mentioned that Next Home Concierge is going to be contacting them. And then she lets them know she's going to send them calendar invitations. So that's going on my calendar. It's going on theirs right away. So they don't forget about the inspection, closing times, walkthroughs. So she knows she schedules walkthroughs an hour before closing. And if it's further out, she might schedule it a little bit earlier than that. And she lets them know things like we like to schedule our closings first thing in the morning. It takes usually about 3 hours for it to get recorded with the county. I want to make sure people get the keys by the end of the day. So we explained to them that don't have the movers come that day. So this is where kind of going through on the left here, you know, add to KV Core and apply a hashtag cap list, email list, include the lead source. We want to make sure that's all updated, all these little things. So cap list for us is client appreciation list. So that way, when we're inviting people to an event, we know to go to our cap list. And then the email list, so they're on an email campaign, we look for that. Add it to Next Home reporting, add the closing date, invite everybody. There's the block off the hour before closing. So she's already done all these things. Order biz box, add required details in DocuSign transaction room. Attached, so at our company, we use DocuSign transaction room for compliance, and we have people submit when the buyer agency agreement is signed and they're under contract. So throughout the process, so the reminders on that. reminders to schedule different inspections. Sometimes we have buyer possession before closing, seller possession after closing. So if we have that, you know, here, she's got to check on that and make sure that we get the insurance for it. And now I didn't check this off, but Saturday morning, I did discuss the inspection reports, so I need to check that off. Today, we have an amendment out for them to sign. Once she gets it back, she'll remember to send it to the lender and the closing attorney. Okay. So this is prepare the closing gift. That's a reminder for me. Have you ever forgot and all of a sudden it's night before closing and you're like, oh no, I didn't get them a gift. What am I getting? And so you may have a gift that you give everybody, or you may do a custom one. So it's something like for sellers during the pandemic, I was getting them all soup. And I did a lot for the buyers too, because I wasn't going out shopping. First of all, we didn't have any time to go shopping. We were busy so much. But second of all, with COVID, we weren't going places. So that made it much easier to do it that way. But otherwise, I usually give them something personal. I think about them. And then just checking in as a reminder to check in with the attorney. Review the CD. We have that. So that's set on the 15th. The closing is on the 22nd. Because sometimes you get it too late. So we like to check in with the attorney and see if we can get a preliminary one, okay? We usually get the final one the day before, honestly, and sometimes the day of, but we want a preliminary one so we can see if they've captured everything. Renter's insurance, if we need it for either party. Home warranty, we've got to remember to order that. So we have an email to send about, here's a couple different warranty companies. You know, American Home Shield has some services that they can rekey the house as part of it. I don't know if you all know that, but that's a nice plus. So let them know about that. You know, American Home Shield's been a good partner with Next Home. And then this is confirm closing price and exact commission. That's to make sure brokerman's right for our commissions. So we got to make sure it's right in there. So when we match up the check to what we receive and what it says in there, that the numbers are right. Like to make sure our reports are right. And then it's thank you to the listing agent. Now we discuss it. If it's not a great transaction, maybe we don't send that thank you note or what have you. But if we're happy with them, we send a thank you. We want to make sure we let them know that we appreciate them so much. And you see, send thank you note gift to referral agent. That's right. That's in there every time. So we have that all as part of our checklist. We have, let me see if I can show you checklists. These are our checklists. I have my own, and then we have brokerage ones, because they're things that I do that maybe it doesn't mean that every agent does that, right? So we have a listing checklist, and that starts with pre-listing. It talks about staging, photography, 3D tour, anything like that in it. New construction is different. It talks about different inspections and making sure we get the addendums for their design appointments, if that's relevant. Vacant lots are different. So we have to have a different list for that. But we still have a lot of things on it. Referrals, outgoing referrals, we have a checklist for that just to make sure we kind of keep it as an open item for us. So we know we've sent it, do we have the paperwork, and we're done. That one's the shortest one. We give it out. So has this been helpful so far?
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yes,
I got to
sure.
tell you, MaryAnn, you're making me look like a freewheeler.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was organized. Shoot.
But you just have to have a system that works for you, right?
Yes, I'm really enjoying this. You are awesome.
Thank you. I mean, really, for me, I need it as detailed as possible because my TC does a lot of it. I mean, if you go through that list, you're going to see her name because my goal is to spend the time with the clients as much as possible or the agents in our company.
And I
So-
like how you put in the notes exactly, what's supposed to be sent, and even, written out the email so that it's the correct email in your words. Now, I do
Yes,
have a-
exactly. I can look it over and, I say, the more you automate, it gives you more time to relate. So if you
Yes,
automate, it's more time to relate. And isn't that the most rewarding part of our business is our clients and our interactions with them? So
yes,
if we can
truly.
automate and give them a system, then we can grow our business, we can relate more to them, have consistent service. I mean, if you think about it, McDonald's, I mean, isn't that all about automation in their systems?
Yes.
This is exact rules for making a burger and the fries and the this, that, and the other. And that's how they've grown.
Now, I've got a question for you. In the system
Mhm.
that you're using,
Mhm.
are you able to set like what I'll call anchor dates, like the effective date of the contract and the closing date, and then assign it's like, okay, it's 9 days after the effective date?
Yes. So
Because we
that's
have to
one of
go.
the things that you can't get in Asana and the others. And that's why we love this one the most.
Yeah,
So
we
that was
don't
the
have that in
question.
ours, and I wish we
Huh?
did.
You
We
don't have
don't
that
have that.
base camp?
No, I so wish we did, because and then I have to count on my fingers.
Yes, exactly. So that it makes it tricky. So if we were to, let me see if I can show it to you. Adjust due dates right there.
Mm,
So if you see here,
um,
oh,
share
I'm
your
sorry, let me
screen,
share my
please.
screen. That would make it easier. There we go. Okay. So here let me start over. So here in this checklist, I'm going to click on this activity, and this is what it looks like. Who's going to complete it? What's the task name? Here's the details. And then we put on here when it's due. So it can be by business days, calendar days, before or after something, acceptance date, other dates. So that is why we love Broker Mint so much.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah. So I just wanted you to kind of have an idea. It's pretty easy. You can clone your own list. So for example, resale versus new construction, we can clone it and then go edit it. So you can do that as well. So I have here, I'm going to pull this up. So this one, I figured I would send to Chuck afterwards, Chuck and Pat, so they have it, but let me pull it up, the resale buyer checklist. So it's been next homey styled from our corporate office, so that's nice. But this is my resale checklist that I can share. It doesn't have all the details and all the emails, but it gives you this to start with, okay? And it'll hopefully trigger some things for you that'll help you in your business.
Very
One
good.
thing we found that we failed in is stopping their search. Sometimes all of a sudden you've noticed
Ah,
that they were viewing a property. Oh no, they've been under contract for 4 weeks. They're closing tomorrow. They don't need to even keep seeing new ones. And so we have that as a checklist item. Make sure we don't forget to turn that off.
well, that's the beauty of a system is you can always modify it as you think of things.
All the time. I mean, I'm always like, oh, add this, add that. Like I realized there was something I wanted to add to our transactions, and that was for, I want my agents in my office to say, is this an agent you think would be a good fit for our company? So
Mhm.
now I have that as an item because I don't want to reach out to somebody if they're not a good fit. Like the agent
Yes.
I'm in a transaction with right now for my buyers, I don't want to work with him. I find that he takes 2 days to respond to say he received my email. That's not really the type of agent I want at my office.
That's not the next home way.
Nope, exactly. So I will send this out to you so you can send it to everybody, Chuck.
Thank you so much. I really
Yeah,
appreciate you doing that.
yeah, my
And
pleasure.
I'll see that everybody gets it.
Okay. What other questions? Anything else I can answer for anybody?
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
When you're setting up your automatic dates, does that already and automatically compensate for holidays and weekends and whatnot?
I don't know how it works with that. I don't know that it factors in that.
Because, on
It
our end,
must.
it doesn't count. If it's a holiday
Usually
weekend.
we
we
just
can't
have
do
it days and then we just know to look, I would say for, if it's like Christmas week, let's say, and you're gonna be off. Cause it won't know what days you're working or not working and what holiday, but I don't know that it counts that, but we would just factor it in, assuming that there's some weekend dates, like when we say 10 days, it'll be 10 days from that closing day, so it should be a work day.
Which is 2 weeks, but what if Christmas falls on a Tuesday? Does it automatically?
I don't think it factors in the holidays. I
Okay,
think
okay, that
we
was my
just work
question.
around that and say, what do we have this week coming due?
Sure.
And you just do it in advance,
I know.
yeah.
Okay.
So Anne's saying, yeah, do you think it's just Saturday, Sunday? She's the biggest power user out there, I would say. Yeah, so that, I think it's just, it does help you when you're going on vacation and you get to look and see what you need to do for the next 2 weeks and get ahead of it. If you don't have a TC and you don't want to work as much on vacation, you can see what you need to do. So. Any other questions?
Does it put it into a calendar for you? Like, does it integrate
Yeah.
with your Google Calendar or whatever calendar you might use?
Yeah,
Like,
you can.
date, like all of a sudden it's going to show up on your calendar. Today is the deadline for due diligence or
Yeah,
something. Okay.
so I'll show you on mine. I'm gonna show you, it depends on who it's due to, so I'll share this screen with you. Sorry, I'm working with a few screens here.
And
Here's my calendar, and Shauna and I share each other's calendars too. So here, I know my due diligence ends today, but these other things, these are due diligence here, closing date for another listing in our office, because we have it for the office, so some days it's different things are showing up. You
that's
have the
per permit,
ability
correct?
to have it show everything, I think, on your calendar or not. We used to have everything show up for Asana, and I think Shauna chose to turn it off because she, for herself, so it wasn't too much on her calendar. She just logs in to do it. So you can log in here, calendar to do, and look at this. So see how, are you sitting, you're not seeing the right screen, sorry. Let me share the other screen I opened up. There, okay. So I can go into the calendar feature also, but I know this could show up on my calendar if I wanted to. It's like right now, I know that these tasks are due in the next week, next 2 weeks. So these are past due. I got the referral check, so now I have that as a reminder, so I did that. I'm leaving the lockbox on because we're moving to a rental. And then we will undo that one because that'll start with the rental one next. Because a client bought it as an investment property for that house. So I can see what I need to do. Shauna will have a much bigger list. So these are just mine. So you could just see all, I just want my active transactions. And it tells you which property over here to the right. Are you seeing this? The right screen?
Yes,
not-
we're seeing it.
Okay, all of a sudden I'm looking, it doesn't have the green box around it when I clicked on something, so I want to make sure. But yeah, so it's send a note to the client, all of those things right in there. So. Any other questions?
It's amazing.
Yeah, well, hopefully it helps you all and, sets you up for success this year. That's what I want, is you to feel in control and have the business you want it to be.
And thank you so much. That was so helpful. I know I took a page of notes and I really enjoyed it. Now, everybody that's here, make sure that you are a member of the Facebook group, the Next Homie Focus Group Facebook group, because when Ann sends me her documents, I'm going to post them there in the files. So that'll be the way that you'll be able to get them, because I'm not positive I have all of your email addresses. So anyway, Thanks again, Ann. It's really great. And tell everybody how they can get hold of you, and also just remind everybody the area that you serve in North Carolina.
Okay, so everyone, it's MaryAnn Wilson, and my email is MaryAnn, MaryAnn @NC, and then dash home sold, only one S in there, .com. And I am in Raleigh, North Carolina. So fun fact, we have the first North Carolina Next Home office. So it's one of the bigger offices. We have a number of offices in our state, but we just have a big presence, but we were the first one here. So we are the capital of North Carolina, and I hope to see you all at conference. Come say hello. You'll see me at karaoke. Jamie, Heidi, and I have been working hard to do some fundraisers to help the Next Home Disaster Relief Foundation. So looking forward to seeing you all there and raising some money for that as well.
That's good. Also, what's your phone number?
Oh, 919-656-6228.
Very good. Well, thank you everybody for coming today. We always want to be respectful of your time, so we're going to end right on time today. And keep MaryAnn Wilson in mind for North Carolina. Raleigh's right smack in the middle of the state. That's why it's the capital of North Carolina.
That's right.
there.
Not too far from the mountains or the beach. So we love it
Yes.
here.
It's the
Thank you,
best location
everybody,
ever.
for
Thank
all your
you.
time.
Thank
Have a great
you.
day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Go sell some
Bye-bye.
houses.